Day one, a boy stares at a blank page. His phone buzzes on the desk beside him. 3 tabs open, none of them notes. 2 hours pass. He has written 4 sentences and refreshed the same app 11 times. Day 1000, same boy, same desk, but the phone is face down in another room. He closes his laptop, stretches, and glances at a folder labeled Thesis Boy's Final Draft. Told you he didn't become a genius in that time. He became someone who simply shows up. This is the story of how he got there. His name doesn't matter here. Call him the student. Second year of college, failing 2 classes, sleeping through 9 a.m. lectures, and blaming his professors, his roommate, his internet connection, anything except the one thing he could actually control. One evening, after a professor quietly asked if he was doing okay, something in him finally cracked open. He grabbed a sticky note, wrote a single rule, and pressed it above his desk. 1 focused hour, no phone, every single day for 1,000 days. He had no 5-year plan, no study system, just that one sentence. The first weeks felt like magic. He finished his readings early for once. He raised his hand in class for the first time in almost a year. 2 quiz grades came back higher than he expected, and he actually smiled at his own handwriting in the margins. He told his roommate, half joking, "I think I fixed myself." He hadn't. He had only just started, and day 30 is a very different mountain than day 300. By day 40, confidence quietly turned into carelessness. He skipped the hour just this once, then twice, then most of a week, always telling himself he'd make it up before finals. He didn't. He walked into a midterm he'd aced on every practice version and blanked halfway through, his mind circling back to everything he hadn't reviewed in 10 days. He sat outside the lecture hall afterward, not sad, embarrassed. The exam wasn't the real failure. The real failure had happened quietly, an hour at a time, over the 2 weeks before it, when nobody was watching, and he decided the rule didn't apply to him anymore. He didn't quit. He didn't post about starting over either. He just flipped to a blank page and wrote day 1 again, this time taping the date to his wall like a countdown, running in reverse. Some weeks the hour felt easy, almost automatic. Other weeks he sat there staring at the same paragraph for 40 minutes, willing himself to focus and failing. Day 60 was better than day 50. Day 120 was somehow worse than day 100. He started to understand something nobody had told him. Progress isn't a straight line climbing upward. It's a messy, uneven average that only looks steady from far away. And the only requirement was that he kept adding data points to it, good day or bad. Then, around day 210, the second crisis arrived, and this one had nothing to do with discipline at all. His father lost his job, money got tight at home. Fast, he picked up a part-time job stacking shelves after his evening classes, cutting into his sleep, his energy, and almost finally, his rule. For the first time, the obstacle wasn't a lack of willpower, it was just life, showing up uninvited, the way it does for everyone eventually. Some nights he came home at 11, exhausted, and stared at the sticky note like it was mocking him. He didn't do a full hour those nights. He shrank it to 20 minutes, sometimes 10, but he never skipped it completely again. 20 minutes, it turned out, was enough to keep the streak and himself alive. By day 600, nobody around him noticed anything dramatic anymore. And that was exactly the point. There was no viral breakthrough, no overnight transformation to point to. Just a folder of notes getting steadily thicker, a GPA climbing a few decimal points at a time, a version of himself that had simply stopped negotiating with the one rule he'd set 2 years earlier. Day 700 came and went. Day 800, day 900. The numbers on his wall kept climbing, quieter every time, because consistency, once it's boring, is usually working. Day 1000. He didn't feel like a different person. He felt like the same person who had simply kept a promise to himself, 1 hour at a time, for almost 3 years. There was no secret method behind it, no perfect schedule, no trick, no shortcut worth teaching, just a single rule he refused to break twice in a row, because he'd learned that breaking it once was human, but breaking it twice was a choice. The lesson was never really about studying harder. It was about becoming the kind of person who shows up, especially on the days he really doesn't want to.